Welcome home, chefs, to the Chef Lance Show. Today, it's Catfish Poboy Day. I can't wait to show you how simple and fast this is. Perfect for a weeknight meal. Different, and I promise you, your family and friends will be asking for more. So please kindly smash that like button. Share this video with your friends and family. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get all my video updates. And let's go cook this thing. Hey, welcome there, home chefs. Today we've got a very, very fun sandwich for you to make this time. We're going to do a catfish po' boy, and it's absolutely delicious. And so we're going to make a remoulade first. So a couple setup. The remoulade is the dressing that's typically Louisiana or New Orleans dressing, mayonnaise based, but has some very distinct flavors in it. Remoulade. So let's find out what to do to put this together. It's very simple. It's a stir technique. So basically we're starting with a bowl with a cup of mayonnaise. Now this is Duke's mayonnaise. It's a very southern mayonnaise. I prefer Duke's. I love it's got a little tang to it. I really enjoy the Duke's mayonnaise. So the rest of the ingredients look like this. We have one small shallot that has been minced. Put that in. We've got, I think the recipe calls for a clove of garlic. You do you. I like garlic. I believe this is 2 cloves of garlic minced. Get that in there. I don't want to miss any of the garlic. Got a couple tablespoons of parsley. A pickle relish, sweet pickle relish. We're going to put that in. We have 2 tablespoons of capers, drained capers, and I did a rough chop on those because I like to actually bite in and have a little bit of the texture. If you don't like that, then you do your chop a little fine, maybe even a mince. But that's a couple tablespoons there of drained capers. And the last ingredient, a couple tablespoons of Creole mustard. This is Zatarain's. An excellent brand, very authentic. I'm just going to put that right in there. Some recipes call for celery. I would have put some in. I just didn't have any on hand. Forgot to get them. If it wasn't for me forgetting something, it wouldn't be the Chef Lance Show. So now we just simply mix all this together. All right. Now there's different versions of remoulade out there. And you're welcome and should try several different versions. But it's a quick and easy sauce. And I'm going to pop that in the fridge, and then we're going to get ready for getting everything ready for the frying of the catfish and then building the sandwich. So going in the fridge we go. Okay, now we have made the remoulade. It is actually resting in the refrigerator. And we're going to get ready to make our catfish for the breading and getting everything ready for the sandwich fixings. What I have here is a couple of hoagie loaves, sub loaves, whatever you find. There's a bakery in New Orleans that 98.2% of all the po' boy shops use. Starts with an L. Can't remember it, but absolutely delicious. If you can get your hands on those, by all means do it. But if you're just looking in your local bakery, or the bakery section of your grocery store, get something that looks like this. Now this was labeled as a baked in store Subway roll. They weren't even split, so I've taken my bread knife, I've split those open, and we're going to use those. So in the meantime though, I'm going to set those aside. And for the dressing, not the remoulade dressing, but the fixings on the sandwich, very simple. We're going to dress the bun with the remoulade sauce. We're going to have shredded lettuce, pickles, and freshly sliced tomatoes. We'll do that at that time. Now, of course, the star of the show are our catfish fillets. We've got a couple of them here. We have some flour for dredging as we do the coating, so we'll be showing you that. A pan with some paper towels to drain the fish once they're cooked. And now let's get to the actual breading. In this bowl, I have 3 ingredients. I have some AP flour. There's a half a cup there. I have a cup of cornmeal and a cup of panko breadcrumbs that I put in a Ziploc bag and pounded a little bit with the heel of my hand. Didn't make them dust, but they're certainly not as big as what you'd normally see. So I'm going to get those whisked together just real quick. Doesn't take long. We just want to incorporate everything together. Then we're going to add some flavoring to this. Okay. Here I've got a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. What do I have here? I've got a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Same with onion powder. I've got some thyme leaves, about I think a quarter teaspoon, and some sage leaves. Then, and a quarter teaspoon of ground ginger. And then a quarter teaspoon of cumin. All right, now that I've got those dumped in, let's just quickly whisk those together. I have my breading ready now. And I'll put it in this very small baking sheet pan. Make it easier to coat the catfish with. And then I'll have this to set them in. So, obviously a skillet for frying. Let me set that aside. Okay, breading technique. So, that one I have, it wouldn't be the Chef Lunch Show if I didn't forget something. I have 3 whole eggs. Depending on how many of these you're making, you could use more or less. And so I'm just going to whisk those up. Breaking them up, making sure that the yolks and the whites are incorporated. The purpose of this is to help the breading adhere to the catfish. And I'm going to wear a couple gloves to handle the fish with. So what typical breading technique here? We're going to dust the fillets in the flour. Then we're going to dip that into the egg wash. And then we're going to take that and we're going to coat it with the bread and cornmeal mixture. Now these fillets have not been seasoned, so I'm going to take a little salt. Now, even though the breading itself is seasoned, you still want to season the actual protein. It's probably enough for both sides on pepper. And I'm going to flip these over, however. Put a little salt on the other side. You can see this is the skin side where they were filleted. And if you were serving these individually on the plate, this would not be the presentation side. You would use the other side for presentation. Not that that matters here. All right, so now we have our fillets nicely seasoned. Now we're going to dredge or dust them in flour. We'll do this one. And when you're breading, always use a wet hand and a dry hand. So I'm going, my right hand is now my dry hand, and my left hand is my wet hand. So now I've got it dredged. And I'm going to take it with my wet hand and put it into the egg wash. And the reason we dredge it in flour or dust it with flour first is so that the egg wash will adhere to the fish. If you just use raw fish in the egg would slide right off. Now that we have the egg on here, we're going to put it in our breadcrumb mixture. Pat it down. Want a pretty good amount on here. Shake off the excess, set it aside. Now, I'm going to finish this up, and when I come back, we're going to get set up for frying these puppies. Okay, now we're all set up. I've got my catfish fillets ready to go. I've got my pan here, and I'm going to turn this on initially to high heat. This is to actually fry the catfish. I'm going to get my fixins over here close. By the way, I didn't mention this. This is a vegetable oil, a neutral vegetable oil. It has a very high smoke point, so I'm not going to worry too much about getting too high of a heat. I normally would use, if you've been with me for any length of time, I like to use half clarified butter and half canola oil. In this case, I chose not to do that because I am going to have this pan really, really hot. So while we're waiting on this to come to heat, I've got a little bit of water to test how hot it is. I'm going to set the fillets right here. And I'm going to go ahead and slice my tomato and get it ready. I'm going to make a couple of sandwiches. I've got a friend I'm going to make one for, and I'm going to eat one myself. And that's going to be a nice meal. But I want to get my my tomato slice. Now this is a serrated knife, commonly called a bread knife, but it's also terrific on soft vegetables, or excuse me, soft fruit like a tomato. So I'm going to come in. I like to cut the stem in first, and about medium thickness on the slices. Now, anytime you use a raw tomato, like on a sandwich, always remember that the tomato needs to be seasoned before you serve, because tomatoes are great and they have acidity and they have some sweetness, but they do need a little bit of salt, maybe a little bit of pepper to bring out the natural flavor in that. So I've got those sliced up. I will season those at the last minute. I have my salt and pepper ready, and there's my slices. Everything is good to go. Clean up my board. I mentioned the knife. I also have a fish spatula and and a pair of tongs to help me handle the cooking of the fillets. Get that cleaned up. And I think we're almost ready to go. So now I'm going to test it, and I believe we are there. That is hot enough. That water is dancing in little balls, as we've talked about. Now I'm going to apply the oil. I want about 1/4 of an inch thickness of oil in this hot pan. I don't want to submerge the catfish in the pan, but I want to have enough to come up on the sides. Now, you can't see this really well, but this oil is already starting to shimmer. I'm going to crank it down in between high and medium high. Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, so now, remember, anytime you're doing anything frying and you're going to lay your protein or whatever you're sauteing or frying, always lay it down and away from you so that if it does splatter, my tongs have a death grip on this thing. Well, there we go. All right, so now I've got that one in. And I'm going to do the same with this. I might have gotten a little too much oil in there, but we're going to get there. I have a pan here with some paper towels for draining off the catfish. Now, if you're going to saute or fry anything, whatever you decide your presentation side, and presentation means the side that you see when the plate sits in front of your guest, you always want to do that first. We're frying away nicely. I'm going to let that get golden brown. And in the meantime, I'm going to start working on one of the sandwiches. I'm going to grab the remoulade. Oh, nice and pretty. It's been sitting in the fridge for a little bit. So I'm going to take this, and I'm going to be very generous with this because I like it so much. You do you, however much you would like to do. I'm making a mess. Now I've got that nicely dressed. Perfect. Beautiful. So now let me take a quick look. Almost. Did not take long. So what am I going to do next? While we're waiting on that, I want the pickles to lay flat, so I'm going to put some pickles on here on top of the remoulade. Now this is the top, yes, so I want these on the bottom. And I like pickles, but not a terribly large amount. And there I go adding more. So let me just go ahead and add all I've got. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to add some shredded lettuce. Okay, I can tell by the sound that this is ready to flip. Now I'm going to employ my spatula. This is a fish spatula. The reason that you have a special spatula for fish is because it's flexible. You can press the fish down. Some fish, if you do a skin on, the skin will actually tighten up and cause the fish to curl. That is looking so nice. Oh my. All right, so I've got a little shredded lettuce. This is going to get us some crunch. Now you could, if you're making this fast and not for a lot of people, you can buy the pre-shredded at the grocery store where it's in a bag, you just pull it out. But if you're going to do several of these, then by all means, get a head of iceberg lettuce and shred it yourself. It's so simple to do. You quarter them, then come down the sides as thick or thin as you want, and you'll save yourself a ton of money doing that. But don't go spend money on things that you are not going to use and may eventually have to throw away. So make sure that you're going to use that. I'm going to season my tomato. I didn't get the other side, so I'm going to be a little bit more generous on this one. And a little bit of pepper on that. All right, let me take a quick peek. Oh, yeah. So we are actually there. I'm going to pull this close. I'm going to turn the fire off. Then we'll set that aside to drain. Now, if I hadn't been so ambitious, while this is draining, this would have been the time when I would have dressed my sandwich. I've already done that, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to clean up a little bit and let this drain and get ready, and then we'll put the sandwich, finish putting it together, and we'll go from there. Okay, we're good to go. This has drained nicely. Now, I have looked at this and the size of it, and I've determined, normally I like to just fold it up, but this is so large it's not going to fit. So I'm going to go ahead and move this back to the board real quick, and I'm going to slice the bun or separate the top from the bottom. So now we have what would be more like a traditional sandwich. This is not the purest technique for po' boys, but I'm making do. So now I'm going to take the catfish, lay it right up there, top it off. Move it back to my board again, press it down slightly. Now I'm going to slice this at an angle. And there you have it, Catfish Poboy, ready to eat. Okay, so it's time for the fun part. Get to eat my Catfish Poboy. So one of the reasons you cut it at an angle so you have a way to get at it. I have a big mouth, or at least I've been told that. but not big enough to shove this thing in there. So I want to start with an area that I can, anyway, you get it. So here we go. Mm. Oh my. Mm. That that sandwich is so crispy and delicious. The lettuce adds a nice touch. I love the tomato and the remoulade, and that just pops. Wow. Mm. Mm. I, I really cannot say enough good things about this sandwich. It's quick. It's simple. You'll have it ever so often, and it'll make a nice change of pace to your weeknight meals. Uh, it's just so quick and easy. It takes longer to put all your ingredients together than it does to actually make this thing. So get out there and make it. Enjoy it. Let me know in the comments what you think about it. Also, let me know in the comments what you'd like me to cook, and we'll put that on our list. So thanks for joining us today for Catfish Poboy. I just love it. I'm going to eat some more of it. In fact, this is my next meal. So just remember, a day in the kitchen beats a day of working any day. See you next week. What is that? That is so freaking good. Wow. Mm. There is nothing wrong with this thing. Let me tell you. You're still here? Go away.